Hey everyone, this is Sam Cottrell. Today we are going to go over the application for group life insurance for Great Western Pre-Need Plans Trust, or the application if somebody's interested in doing a pre-need. Now, I've already gone over this application both on the Express app and the e-application. Both of those videos can be found on our website, legacytreefuneralplanning.com, and agent training. So those two methods are there. This method is with the paper application. So if you actually took a physical application with you to your appointment and were filling that out, it would look just like this. Now, when we get into the FSA, the Funeral Service Agreement form, those can be different state to state. The one we're going to be looking at will be what the generic one is. States like Wyoming and Idaho use. Utah, some of those funeral homes are going to have their own FSA that looks a little bit different than the one that we'll look at today, but you'll get the idea. So first off, we'll start here with this paper application. I've imported photos of the paper application to my iPad here using an app called Cam Scanner. If you don't have that app, it is extremely useful. I'd highly recommend getting it. It is free, but you can scan your applications and send them over to policy issue right from your phone. It's the easiest way to submit an application. I'd highly recommend looking into it if you're not already doing something similar. All right, having said that, let's look at this application here. The top here, you're going to see state, date, agent name, agent number. You're going to fill all that in. Right now, let's act like we're in Wyoming, and today is, let's say it's 5/3/19, and there we go. Okay, so we got the top filled out. Now, the proposed insured, again, from watching the other videos or from your training, you should know that sometimes the insured and the owner could possibly be different, but in most situations, it's going to be the same person. Situations where it could be different is if a parent is taking out a policy for a child, right? Now, they are the owner. The child is the one that is insured. But in most situations, we're going to be able to just cross this out because they are the same, right? It says right there, if other than proposed insured. So our proposed insured, let's say, well, let's do one of these for my dad. How about Leighton Cottrell? I'm going to fill out this top sheet here. Hopefully your writing is a little bit better than mine. It's trying to correct my mistakes, this app that I'm using. So actually, I think it's making it look a little worse. His birthday is, I know this, it's 11/13 and 54 maybe. Don't quote me on that. He's 62. This, obviously, because it's the paper application, it's not automatically going to generate an age for the birthday that you enter. So we'll check my math here in just a minute. But let's see. Again, Social Security numbers, it's a good thing to include them. If they'll give you the last four even, that's great. If they don't want to give you any, they're not required. But I usually like to get the last four. I don't know his last four, but let's make up a number and then a good phone number for him. Actually, I'm just going to put my number. I don't know why it's not doing my twos very well. Mailing address. Okay. Anyway, you understand all this, right? You understand mailing address, city, state, zip, and an email is also optional. If they don't put an email address in there, they're not going to be denied coverage, but it's a good thing to put anyway. Also, if you do have an email, that could help with your follow-up later on. Okay, so let's put them in there. Now, our primary beneficiary almost always is going to be the funeral home. Let's say we're doing this for Crandall Funeral Home right now. And I like to just take up this whole space, and that's usually just fine. Okay. Now when we go down to our contingent beneficiary, that is typically a spouse. It may not be. It could even be a trust, but it's typically a spouse. You can have multiple contingent beneficiaries if you'd like, but in this case, we'll have it be a spouse. Again, social not required. And, oh goodness, let's see. It's July 31st, so 7. And I don't know the year on hers either, maybe 56. Anyway, address, you can put same as insured if they're living together. Just put same. All right. Now over here in certificate information, this box here, we're going to use our iPremium app for most of what we're going to fill into this box. Okay. So we'll jump over to our iPremium app and take a look at that. Okay, so now we're looking at our iPremium app. This is an application by Great Western. If you don't have it, you need to download it. You'll download application that looks just like this right there. Now, once you're logged into it, you're able to access the calculator. The calculator is what we want. So we're going to figure out the payments for my dad in this case. Let's say that he's chosen a plan with his casket, services, and vault for $9,500. Okay. In this case, he's not going to put anything down. Again, say he's 62. And we're in Utah. Okay. This is going to give me options now. If I check first day coverage, if I want to add a grandchild rider or an away from home rider, that will all factor into the price here. Right now, we're going to just put in the away from home rider. That gives somebody an extra $500 as long as they have a plan that's $2,000 or more. An extra $500 to help them get back to their place of residence should they pass away 250 miles from home or farther, right? If you don't know about that, ask me about it. I'll help you understand it a little bit better, but it is very good insurance for a one-time payment of $10 on to the total of your, usually your monthly premium. Okay, so let's say he's going to do the away from home rider, and it's $9,500. He's 62. We're in Utah. We're going to do this monthly. And here I can look at what it would be if he was just going to pay it off after a year, 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years. Most people, I would say, I help with between 5 and 10-year plans. Obviously, we're going to help them with whatever they would like. I do not push anybody one way or another. It doesn't affect me in any way. I want them to be comfortable with their payment. So if we push it out to 10 years, they're going to have a lower monthly payment than they would if they did it in 3 years. Let's take a look at that really quick. We'll look at 3 years, $9,500, he's 62, and we're going to do this monthly. We've got voyage checked and draft checked. If we did coupon, that means that they're going to write a check for this every month. Draft is just an automatic withdrawal from their account and is definitely the easiest way to go. I know a lot of agents who really sometimes don't even give the option for writing a check just because it's so much more convenient for everybody involved if it's an automatic draft. Course and Voyage right there, those are the two different products Great Western offers. I always help people with Voyage. If you want to know why, let me know and we can get into that. But we're going to do Voyage, Draft, 3 years, and monthly right now. So $9,500, $333 is the first payment. Modal premium means that's what they're going to pay every month after that first one. That extra $10 right there is accounted for. It's accounting for the away from home rider. That $10 that I told you about is giving them an extra $500 so a total of $1,000 if they pass away out of town, because you have $500 automatically included, pay $10 one time, get $1,000 to help get you back should you pass away out of town. Okay, so let's look at the numbers down here. We've got 3,886 first-year premiums. Total premiums after 3 years, 11,638. So it's important to remember that extra $2,100 and $2,138, all of that is going to go back to the family, right? So they're not being charged interest to pay for this over time, but after 3 years, they will have paid $11,638 rather than the $9,500. So it's important to explain that to them. Is if they go home and they do the calculation themselves, they're going to think that they're being charged interest. But it's important to let them know that extra money is going to go back to them. Okay, so that's 3 years. If we look at 5, we can see the difference. Bumps it down to $229. Again, they have more at the end. That total premiums is more than the $11,000 in the 3 years. And if we push it to 10 years, the lowest monthly payment is going to be $172, and it's going to be a total of $19,450 after 10 years. So they'll have put in more than double of the funeral amount over the course of 10 years. Again, super important to let them know that that money comes back to the family. All right. Okay. In this case, let's look at the 5-year. 5 years, $9,500 and $229. We're going to go back into our paper application and put some of these numbers down. Okay, we're back in our paper application. We're going to write down these numbers that we found in the iPremium app. So our total face amount is $9,500. Our total paid to agent was $229. That's the initial payment. Our modal premium is $219. And we need to mark this away from home rider. That explains here. One-time premium of $10. Okay, so that's where that difference is coming from. The $229 versus the $219. $10 in the away from home rider. Okay, and we're also going to do this over the course of, 5 years. This is a monthly withdrawal, and it's automatic, and we're doing voyage. I've talked to my dad, and he wants this to come out on the 5th of every month. So let's see, today's the 3rd. I'm going to write down take first payment immediately. Sorry, this pen is not working great. Then the 5th of each month. You could put thereafter. That works. Hopefully they can read that. Okay. All right. We're going to do deposit ticket for our initial payment. All right, here are the health questions. Make sure that you read these. Give the individual an opportunity to read it. These are important. They don't need to tell you which issue they have. If they do have any of them, it's just a yes or no question. In this situation, I know that my dad has a health issue in number 2. So first one, we're going to mark no. Doesn't have any of those issues, but let's say that he has one of the issues in question number 2. All right. That automatically puts him into the 2-year contestability period, right? Hopefully you know about that. If you don't, I'll explain it briefly. If he was to pass away in the first year of paying for his plan, any money that he's put in would come back toward his funeral plus about 33% interest. In the second year, if he was to pass away, any money that he's put in would come back plus about 60% interest. After that second year, if he passes away between the 2 and 5 years, or really any time after 2 years, the entire plan is going to be covered. This entire $9,500. All right. if you have more questions about that, let me know. Again, I said about 33% interest and about 60%. That is depending on a couple of things, the actual number, but it's around there for most people. Okay, I'm going to need his initials on both of these lines, saying that that is accurate. If he answered no to both of those questions, then we're going to fill out this information down here, right? Because he's claiming that he is eligible for first day coverage. And if he did pass away in the next 2 years, the primary care physician is going to be contacted to make sure that he really didn't have any health issues on May 3rd of 2019. All right. Now, this box down here, if they don't want to receive anything else electronically, they can check this box. They're not going to be spammed or sent junk mail. That's just where they could receive any notices about their policy through an email rather than through snail mail. All right, we're going to go over to our second page right here. Look at this. Okay, you can see the proposed insured's full name needs to be written at the top. And then the section below that is the irrevocability portion. That's going to be written to Crandall Funeral Home or whatever funeral home you're working with. This is where we can make sure that those funds are going to be safe, especially if that person was to go into a nursing home. This money that's in their funeral plan cannot be used as an asset against them. Almost everybody that I help fills out this section and initials because they recognize that this is an excellent place to put money to keep it safe. Okay? You do need their initials in this box. All right. In almost all cases, you're not replacing insurance, but you may. In this case, we're not. Great Western wants the insured to initial and the agent to initial that box. That's new on this new form. On the old form, it didn't have that. All right. This section here is where we're going to write down the financial institution name, the place where this money is going to be coming from. All right. So we'll write down a bank or a credit union name there, a routing number, and an account number. The city and state is typically the branch that they go to. Now, I've helped people that have an online bank account. They do not have a branch. So you need to look up where that bank is based out of, basically, and write down that city and state. Typically, we're going to use checking accounts. Now, this next box here can get a little bit tricky. It's kind of confusing. So our first option here is that we want the initial premium to be withdrawn immediately. Okay, great. Now, what else? And the second one is that we want both the initial one-time premium withdrawn immediately, and then every premium after that to be withdrawn, whatever you stated over in that first section, if you're doing it monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. So you would put monthly and then what day you want it to come out of. Okay. Ongoing premium only, our third option, to be withdrawn every month. That's if somebody is not going to start this immediately. Okay. This is something that they want to start a little bit later, or maybe they're writing you a check for the initial deposit, and then they want every payment after that to come right out of their account. Almost always, I use this one in the middle, and it's, let's see, both. So in this case, I said the 5th of every month. I want that payment to come out immediately, and then every one to come out after that on the 5th of every month, which would be starting, we're in May, so it would go to June 6/5/19. This is important. You can only choose days between the 1st and the 28th of every month, obviously, because February is a short month. All right, now we need Leighton's name here. and his signature below, whatever, and the date. I keep forgetting what the date is. 5/3. All right. The agreement portion. This is also an important section to allow the individual to read over. This really, well, I'll let you read it. It's important to know this stuff and explain it to the person that is signing. But once they're comfortable, you need their signature if they're the owner and the insured right here. If they are just the owner, they'll be right here. If they have power of attorney or if they're a legal guardian, they'll sign owner, and next to their signature they need to put guardian or POA. Included in that paperwork in this application, if they are a POA or a guardian, you need to include that paperwork that states that they are in fact the guardian or they have POA. That is important. Great Western will ask for that. Let's say we've signed this today in Kaysville. All right. And then it's going to want my signature here and my number right there. All right. That is the application. That is what in most states, that's what Great Western needs. They just need the application. It is always a good idea, whether they need it or not, to also submit the FSA, Funeral Service Agreement, this form right here. That's going to help the funeral home know exactly what they're honoring as they change their prices, and as time goes on, they can look back onto this and see, okay, when that person passes away, this is what our prices were when they decided to prearrange years ago. This is what we're going to be honoring. This is where you're going to write down specific choices. Again, this form may look different depending on what funeral home you're working with and in what state you're working in. But typically, most funeral homes have some type of package where you could write down here a traditional service here at the top. And that's going to let the funeral home owner know a lot of information. So let's say just the services are $4,000. You can write down here included and everything else that's included with it. You need to talk to the funeral home owner and work with them on this form to fill it out how they want it, right? It's more important for them to be able to understand how you filled out this form than it is for Great Western to understand how you filled out this form. This is a full traditional service. You may just draw some arrows down all of this, but some funeral home owners like to see writing says included, or you could just do that. Write down anything else in here that's not included. Sometimes that's thank you cards. Man, this pen is just not working. Thank you cards, memorial book, register folders, and maybe a temporary marker is included over here. This is where you can write down who makes the casket, what color it is, interior fabric and color, exterior material and color, and the price associated with it, right? Number here for the vault. And total merchandise is going to be the casket price. Let's say this is $2,500. And our vault is $1,400. So what's that? $3,900 merchandise. And $4,000 services. We're at $7,900. But he has a $9,500 plan. So we've got an extra. Oh boy, my math people here are killing me. They're going to be thinking I'm not very good at math, and they would be right. We have an extra $9,500 minus $7,900. That's $1,600, right? hopefully. $1,600 is going to be written down here in our total non-guaranteed cash advance items. And that's going to be used for whatever. You can write in here to be used toward death certificates, cemetery costs, flowers, etc., right? $1,600 and $7,900 should equal $9,500. If I'm wrong on that, sorry. Still going to publish this video anyway. All right, we're going to put, they want to irrevocably assign this again, making it safe. It's just another place for them to fill out. Here you're going to write down the funeral form name, the address, phone number. You're going to sign here. Write your date. Now we need the insured, if they're the insured, and the owner to sign here and print their name. We need their address, their phone number. If it is an owner and not the insured, they're going to sign there. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, I think I'm done with this. If you have any more questions about the funeral service agreement form, the paper application, or the iPremium app, please feel free to reach out to me. Happy to help any way that I can. My number is 801-628-2928. Shoot me an email at ltfplanning@gmail.com. Again, thanks for tuning in. Call me if you've got any questions. Have a good one.